Everyone talks about eating clean. Nobody talks about what comes after. And what comes after, for roughly 30 million Americans right now, is anxiety, guilt, obsession, and a broken relationship with the one thing your body literally cannot survive without: food. Here's the number that stopped me cold. Studies published in the International Journal of Eating Disorders found that so-called healthy eating behaviors, calorie tracking, food label obsession, cutting entire food groups, are now the #1 gateway into clinically disordered eating patterns. Not junk food addiction, not emotional eating, clean eating. The pursuit of perfect nutrition is quietly becoming one of the most widespread psychological health crises hiding in plain sight. And the terrifying part? Most people doing it right now have absolutely no idea it's happening to them. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what warning signs to watch for, and more importantly, how to actually eat well without letting food eat you alive. Before you assume this is about someone else, stop. This doesn't just affect people with eating disorders. It doesn't just affect fitness influencers or competitive athletes. It affects high achievers, perfectionists, people who pride themselves on discipline, people who read ingredient labels at 11 p.m., people who feel genuine panic when a restaurant doesn't have a clean option. Sound familiar? A 2022 survey by the Center for Disease Control found that over 45% of adults actively avoid entire food categories not for medical reasons, but because they've mentally labeled those foods as bad. Orthorexia, the clinical term for an obsessive focus on eating correctly, was formally studied as early as 1997 by Dr. Stephen Bratman, who coined the term after noticing the pattern in himself. And here's what makes this especially sneaky. Warning number 1. Watch for the purity spiral. It starts completely reasonably. You cut out processed sugar. You feel better. So you cut out refined carbs. You feel better again. So you cut out gluten, then dairy, then anything non-organic, then anything not locally sourced, then anything cooked above a certain temperature because you read about enzymes. Each step feels logical. Each step is backed by some article, some influencer, some study you half read at midnight. But here's what's actually happening neurologically. Your brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, is being trained to associate more and more foods with danger. Neuroscientist Dr. Judson Brewer's research on habit loops at Brown University shows that restriction behavior activates the same reward-punishment circuitry as addiction. Every food you successfully avoid gives you a dopamine hit of control, and just like any dopamine loop, the threshold keeps rising. Last year's clean eating becomes this year's baseline, and the list of safe foods gets shorter and shorter. The purity spiral has no natural stopping point. You have to choose to stop it. Warning number 2. Clean eating doesn't just change what you eat, it changes who you become around food. And this one is subtle enough that most people miss it entirely until the damage is done. Think about the last time you turned down food at a birthday party, or spent more than 10 minutes planning what you'd eat before a restaurant you'd never been to, or felt genuine stress at a family dinner because nothing on the table fit your current protocol. Harvard Medical School published research in 2019 showing that food-related social anxiety significantly increases isolation behaviors in adults who identify as health-conscious. Meals are humanity's oldest social ritual. Every culture on Earth, from ancient Roman feasts to Japanese tea ceremonies, has used shared eating as the foundation of community and connection. When food becomes a source of fear rather than joy, you stop showing up. You make excuses. You eat beforehand so you don't have to engage at the table. And slowly, quietly, your social world shrinks. Your relationship with people deteriorates at exactly the same rate your relationship with food does. The cost isn't just psychological, it's relational. And relationships, according to the Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest-running happiness study in history, are the single greatest predictor of long-term health. More than diet, more than exercise, connection, and clean eating can systematically destroy it. Warning number 3, and this is the one nobody wants to hear. For a lot of you, eating clean isn't just a habit. It's become who you are, your identity, and that's the most dangerous place food can live. When your sense of self-worth is tied to what you ate today, every meal becomes a moral test. Eating a brownie isn't just eating a brownie. It's failing. It's being weak. It's being the old you. Dr. Kristin Neff at the University of Texas, one of the world's leading researchers on self-compassion, has documented extensively how rigid identity-based rules around behavior actually increase the likelihood of complete behavioral collapse. It's called the what the hell effect. Formally studied since 1986 by researchers Janet Polivy and C. Peter Herman. You break the rule once, your identity feels shattered, and you overcorrect in the opposite direction. Binge, restrict, binge, restrict. The cycle that healthy eating was supposed to prevent becomes the exact cycle it creates. And here's the darkest part of the identity trap. The people most vulnerable to it are the ones who were most committed, the ones who tried the hardest, the ones who genuinely wanted to be healthy. That effort, that sincerity, weaponized against them by a system that told them perfection was the goal. So why does this keep happening? Why do intelligent, motivated people fall into these traps over and over? 3 reasons, and understanding them is how you stop falling. First, the wellness industry is a $5.6 trillion market as of 2023, according to the Global Wellness Institute. It is financially incentivized to make you feel like you're always one protocol away from optimal. Confusion is profitable. Rules are profitable. Your uncertainty is their business model. Second, social media's algorithmic reward system disproportionately amplifies extreme dietary content. A 2021 study from the University of Vermont analyzed over 2 million food-related posts and found that restrictive eating content received 3.5 times more engagement than balanced eating content. You are being shown the extreme version of healthy eating because that content performs better, not because it's better for you. Third, and this is the psychological one, control feels good, especially when life feels chaotic. Controlling your food is concrete, measurable, and immediately rewarding. It gives your nervous system the illusion of safety. But it's a substitution. You're solving an emotional problem with a nutritional solution, and that never works long term. Understanding these mechanisms doesn't make you immune, but it makes you aware, and awareness is where the pattern breaks. Here's what actual sustainable health looks like. And I want to be direct with you because the real answer is less dramatic than the wellness industry wants you to believe. Flexibility is not failure. A 2020 meta-analysis in the journal Nutrients reviewing 39 studies on long-term dietary adherence found that flexible eating approaches consistently outperformed rigid dietary rules on every metric: weight maintenance, psychological well-being, and, critically, long-term consistency. The people who could eat a slice of birthday cake without it derailing their week were healthier a year later than the people who refused it. Not because cake is healthy, but because psychological flexibility is healthy. Here's a practical reframe. Instead of asking, is this food clean or not clean, ask, does this meal serve my overall well-being right now? Sometimes the answer is a salad. Sometimes the answer is sharing a meal with people you love, even if that meal isn't perfect. Both are the right answer. Now, I want to be transparent here. This is where I genuinely point you toward a tool that helped me think about food differently. I've been using a meal planning app called 8 Food Journal. It's built specifically around flexible, balanced eating rather than rigid calorie targets or food rules. What I like about it is that it doesn't track macros obsessively. It helps you notice patterns, reflect on how food makes you feel, and build awareness without judgment. If you're trying to rebuild a healthier relationship with food, not just a healthier diet, it's worth exploring. Link is in the description. But the broader principle stands with or without any app. The goal is a life where food is one good thing among many. Not the thing, not the test, not the identity, just food. Nourishing, enjoyable, imperfect food. If anything in this video hit close to home, I want you to know that's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign you care about your health. And caring about your health is exactly right. The problem was never the intention. It was the framework. You deserve a relationship with food that gives you energy, connection, and peace, not one that quietly costs you all 3. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's been talking about their clean eating journey lately. They may need to hear this more than anyone. And if you want to go deeper on food psychology, building sustainable habits without restriction, and what the science actually says about nutrition versus wellness culture, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is about. Links to the research cited today are in the description. The 8 Food Journal app link is there too if you want to explore the flexible eating approach we talked about. And as always, disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. Nothing constitutes medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional.